I actually was a client at the Miami Valley Women's Center many, many years ago, and I have not been involved in many years, but this year I just felt a very strong prompting that it was time to get back involved. So I'm actually sharing my story tonight of how I came to Miami Valley Women's Center almost 18 years ago, or over 18 years ago now, and how my life has unfolded since that time, and just the hope that comes with choosing life, and so that's why I'm here. I just feel so honored and so blessed to be here because it's been so long, and I was very apathetic for many years. And it took me hearing something that prompted me, that angered me, actually. So I'm turning that anger emotion into doing something with that and, giving back. I think people that are pro-life for so many years have felt silenced, and they felt like if they spoke up that they would be silenced and that they couldn't have a voice with that. So my hope is that people start to stand up to advocacy for pro-life and be completely fearless in their fight for the unborn, and that's where I'm at. I've come out of that closet of being, I'm not going to talk about that. It's, be offensive, but I think just being fearless in the fight, because it's going to get even worse, in my opinion. Many years ago, when I came to the Miami Valley Women's Center, I was very hopeless because I thought my life was over now that I was pregnant, because I was a senior in college, had different plans. Pregnancy was not one of those plans. So for me, it gave me back my hope that my life would go on. And 18 years later, I can say that everything that I was worried about, being a senior in college, telling my parents, not, maybe meeting somebody who would want to marry someone, everything I was worried about worked out, all of it. Because of the Miami Valley Women's Center, I had hope again that it was going to be okay, and my life was going to turn out okay, and it has. Beautiful. It's turned out beautifully. So.
Now let's fast forward 13 years later, when another client came to our center in her own personal time of need. Kristy called Jenny Schaub several months ago, and as soon as we heard Kristy's story, we knew that you needed to hear it as well. Although her son could not be with us tonight, we are thankful that he is with his dad for his senior year football playoff game. He fully supports his mom telling their story tonight. Kristy, will you please come?
Thank you. It's great to be here tonight. And go Spartans. That's where he's playing tonight. So I am here with my parents, David and Jane Schooler. But my name is Kristy Matheson, a wife, mother of 3, and I live in Germantown, Ohio. I have a full and busy life with a full-time job in healthcare and managing the schedules that come with 3 awesome children. I grew up in a Christian home. My dad is actually a pastor. I often describe my childhood in quaint Lebanon, Ohio, as perfect. Life was good, very good, and I had a lot of opportunities and even bigger dreams. I really can't tell you why or when it happened, but somewhere in my early 20s, a depression that I had battled since my teenage years really tightened its grip on my life. My senior year in college was clouded with depression and severe anxiety, followed by an attitude of reckless and careless behavior. In March of that same year, I found out that I was pregnant. Here I was, a senior in college, the daughter of a minister, and pregnant. The birth father was at that time not in my life, so I knew I would be a single parent. To say that I was scared is an understatement. I was terrified, and the hardest part was telling my parents and friends and the people who thought I was somebody different. I was embarrassed and ashamed and in need of help. For many years, as a church and as a family, we supported the Miami Valley Women's Center. And the pro-life movement in general was very, very important to me, even as a young child and growing up. But the interesting thing, when this crisis pregnancy happened, the very first place my parents went was Miami Valley Women's Center, and they encouraged me to go, and I did. I became actively involved with a client advocate and a support group. It was at Miami Valley Women's Center that I felt a sense of community and unconditional grace. I was involved there my entire pregnancy, and I grew spiritually, and I had my hope renewed while I was there. Yes, the plans I had for my life would look quite different, but life would absolutely and without question go on. It was at a very vulnerable moment early in my pregnancy that I felt the Lord speak to me about my unborn child and for this precious life. So on December 29th, 1998, little Micah was born. He was beautiful, healthy, and so full of life. When Micah was 18 months old, I met my husband, Rick, and then he adopted Micah when he was 4 years old. We've been married now for 15 years, and I have 2 more children, Aaron and Elise. I did graduate from college right after Micah was born, and I've been a social worker now for 18 years. Micah is now 17 years old, a senior in high school, and is deciding what sport he's going to play in college. He represented his class as homecoming king. I'm going to brag a little bit. He broke a 30-year pole vaulting record, and he is an official candidate for the Naval Academy. And an absolute joy in my life, our lives. I'm not saying these things to brag or to boast, but only as a testimony, listen to this, only as a testimony the fact that God, the promises that God gave me are literally unfolding before my eyes. After Micah was born, I shared my story a lot, but then life happened, and for many years I didn't share much or help in the pro-life movement. There were several reasons for this, but I can say the biggest one was a comment that somebody made to me after I spoke once. He said that he appreciated my willingness to speak, but that he felt that my story glorified sin. This sent me back into a closet of shame that silenced me for many, many years, almost 15 years. You can say that I became very apathetic in the pro-life movement. I didn't talk about it. I didn't share my story. I didn't tell anybody. Like the speaker before me said, it was something in my past, not to be discussed or talked about. A few months ago, while watching a certain convention, a young lady rose to speak very proudly of her abortion decision and how it made her life so much better. She received loud cheers of support as she encouraged the audience to stand up for the rights of women. I had chills go through me, and I immediately became angry. I wasn't angry with the young woman, but I was angry at the message. The message that the only hope for an unplanned pregnancy is to terminate a life. In that moment of anger, God spoke to me again and said, "What are you going to do with the anger?" My response internally was, "I'm going to stop being apathetic and do something." The next day, after 15 years of silence on this issue, I left a rambling message for Jenny at the Miami Valley Women's Center, offering my story, my heart, and myself in whatever way they needed. So here I am today. I've moved from apathy to moments of anger, and now into the role of an advocate. I'm not exactly sure what that will look like, but I'm excited to see it all unfold. The dictionary definition of an advocate is someone who pleads on behalf of another person. By being here tonight and financially supporting this ministry that is on the ground floor in the trenches of the pro-life movement, you are in fact pleading the cause for precious lives. You are all advocates. And my fellow advocates, it's time to stand up. We've all been silenced for too long. God took my brokenness and rebuilt my life into something I could have never imagined. Everything that I was worried about when I became pregnant, it all worked out. God weaved it all together, and it's all worked out. So may the message of hope, grace, and extravagant love continue to permeate this community. Thank you.